Some companies have the tendency to focus on the Scrum mechanics when they initially implement Scrum. The overemphasis on the Scrum mechanics can lead to mechanical Scrum, and quite often it may lead to rigidity and inflexibility. And from my personal observation, the overemphasis on the mechanics may lead to iterative mini waterfall rather than Scrum. From my personal observation, when the company is implementing iterative mini waterfall, it's not uncommon to see several people in the company become disengaged. It's a huge issue when people in the company become disengaged with the process because Scrum requires people to self-manage. Self-management requires engagement from people, and it is one of the key tenets of Scrum. Scrum requires the team to self-manage because self-managing teams are more agile than teams who are managed by someone else. As we know, Scrum has 5 values: commitment, courage, focus, respect, and openness. And this is mentioned in the Scrum Guide, even though only in a few lines. Perhaps that's why people are more interested with the Scrum mechanics rather than the Scrum values. And as we have learned from my 8 Scrum Master hats video, uphold the Scrum values is one of the hats the Scrum Master wears. Scrum Master has a responsibility to promote the Scrum values to people in the company because there is value in Scrum values. Values last longer than practices. A nation, for example, has values, and these values are what unites people in these nations. Even though they have gone through many eras, the values remain the same. Practices, on the other hand, are like a trend. Agile practices like story points, user story, velocity come and go. In the early days of Scrum, user stories were embraced by many teams, but as time progresses, more and more teams found a better way to write their product backlog items. In the early days of Scrum, a lot of teams use story points and velocity, but these days I'm seeing more teams who prefer to use flow metrics over story points and velocity. Alright folks, without further ado, let's talk about the 5 Scrum values, and let's start with the value commitment, as every culture has different interpretations about commitment. In some cultures, commitment is often imposed by someone else outside of the team. In some cultures, the people doing the work must commit to the project iron triangle defined by someone else who are actually not doing the work. Imposing a plan to people without collaborating them in creating those plans is not agile because people will take less ownership with the plan. When people take less ownership with the plan, they will be less likely to self-manage. Now, rather than committing to the plan, we should instead commit to the goals. And Scrum has 2 goals, the product goals and the sprint goals. And these goals should not be the list of features to be developed, but instead the business objective to be achieved. There's no point sticking to the plans if sticking to the plans makes us irrelevant in the market. Plans should change if the situation in the market changes, but the goals still remains persistent. Agility is not only for the Scrum team. All departments in the company should also have the agility, therefore we need to commit to collaborate with everyone in the company. We should not put any walls with other departments. There shouldn't be us versus them, we are all in this together. For these departments to collaborate with one another, they should not be measured by suboptimal key performance indicators or KPI. The measurement should encourage people in these departments towards achieving the company's overarching goal instead of siloed departments' goals. People commit to help each other so that nothing will impede them from delivering value frequently to the customers. Agility is about being able to dance within unpredictabilities, and within these unpredictabilities, failures are expected. But even though failures are expected, everyone is committed to continuously learning and improving. People shall commit to be professional. People should have pride in what they do because they commit to technical excellence. People shall commit to say no to adding technical depth into the product and commit to say no to cutting corners for short-term wins. We do not want to end up like companies who earn bad reputation in the market for cutting corners and for adding technical depth into their products. Agility will improve in the company when everyone in the company is committed to delivering value to the customers rather than committing to the project iron triangle. Now let's look at the value courage. Courage is the foundation for improving agility. People should have the courage to be honest and transparent, saying it like it is, not sugarcoating any information to make the decision makers in the company hear what they want to hear. If something is not doable, people will have the courage to say that it's not doable. When we sugarcoat information, we may be making decisions that will lead us in the wrong direction. And when the company is moving in the wrong direction, people should also have the courage to point it out. People should not get game the estimates just for the sake of risk management. Decision makers should be able to accept unpredictability and appreciate the honesty from these people. There should be psychological safety in the company, and the leaders in the company have a role in creating a psychologically safe work environment. People should have the courage to speak up when there are individuals who cut quality. This is not an easy thing to do, especially in a culture where people are afraid of entering conflict. And in this culture, I explain to people that conflict can be seen as a good thing. Just because there isn't any conflict in the company, it doesn't necessarily mean things are going smoothly. Maybe there isn't any conflict in the company because there is apathy. As a Scrum Master, we should be concerned when people in the company have apathy. People in the company should have the courage to ask for help. Now, this may look simple, but I have seen in some cultures where people are afraid to ask for help because they're afraid to be seen as incapable, and they're afraid that their annual performance appraisal may be affected. Creativity and innovation is needed to be competitive in the market. Slack time is needed for innovation. There isn't any agility when people are fully utilized to 100%, so they're always busy. Innovation does not happen when people just follow orders. It happens when people have the courage to experiment. Besides courage to experiment, people should also have the courage to challenge the status quo and challenge their own assumptions. Now, this is not an easy thing to do, especially in a company who are attached to their past success. To improve the enterprise agility, people need to stay focused on the product vision and the product goal. When people are not focused, the company may not moving forward. People cannot be focused when individuals are multitasking on multiple products within the same period. Some people still believe that when employees are multitasking on multiple products, they will get more things done. Now, this is a myth. Gerald Weinberg, a well-respected consultant in the software industry, wrote in his book how multitasking on multiple products at the same time period actually slows down the flow of value delivery. Agility also requires us to focus on getting feedback early and often. By getting feedback earlier, the company will have the opportunity to pivot earlier. This is what agility is about. Now, I have seen how people in the company avoid getting frequent feedback from their customers because they believe that feedback will cause scope creep. That is quite unfortunate because feedback improves our understanding. Feedback is valuable for our product, therefore it should be welcomed rather than avoided. Now, feedback can only be gained from delivering releasable or usable products early and often. Even though there have been many talks in the industry on continuous delivery, a lot of teams out there are still struggling on implementing continuous delivery practices. Leaders in the company should be proactive in removing anything that is impeding people to continuously deliver value. Agility happens when people focus on generating actionable items and not leaving any waste in every group discussion. I have worked in a company who has a culture where the outcome of every meeting is to schedule a follow-up meeting. The reason why they do this because people in this company are afraid to be blamed or punished if something wrong happens in the future. Now, we will not have the agility when people are spending too much time fortune telling or goal plating. People should instead focus on the simplest solution that works today. Striving for simplicity is hard. Even Einstein said this. Agility starts with the art of possible, which means we can start with where we are right now and with what we have right now, even though it's imperfect. We do not have to wait to be perfect to improve or to start our journey towards agility. To improve our agility, we need to focus on making people awesome, because at the end of the day, it is these people who will be running the processes and using the tools. People over tools and processes. That's what agility is about. A lot of improvements that will improve our company agility starts with opening up our mind. We need to be open to try out new ideas even though it looks revolutionary. Trying out revolutionary ideas may require a learning curve, and that may reduce the amount of features delivered at a certain period. But trying out revolutionary ideas should be seen as a long-term investment that will gradually increase the company's agility from time to time. Now, on the other hand, People should also be open to dropping any existing practices in the whole value stream that creates waste. People should be open about the technical depth in the product to the decision makers. And the decision maker should be a leader who serves and provides time for these people to pay the technical debts. People should be open about their incapability so that the decision makers knows which individuals needs to be trained or needs to be mentored. People should also be open about their mistakes and failures. I have seen how in some companies, mistakes and failures are seen as an opportunity for blaming someone. Agility will not happen in those kind of environment. Agility happens when mistakes and failures are seen as an opportunity for learning. People should be open about their progress towards the product goal and be open to adapt new plans when things change in the market. Agility does not happen when both the scope and the timeline is locked. Being relevant in the market is more important than sticking to the initial plans. Decision makers should be open to negotiate the scope or the timeline. This is what agility is about. Everyone in the company should also be open to enter difficult conversation and be open to receive feedback. This is for the greater good in the company. And lastly, agility is not only about opening up our mind, but also about opening up our heart. Agility happens when people are humble to listen and seek to understand. We should acknowledge that our intelligence is so limited to predict the fuzzy and ambiguous future. Our past success should not be seen as a guarantee for future success. And lastly, folks, I explained to everyone that agility will not happen in the company when there isn't any respect. Because without respect, people will just move in motion. And that's how iterative mini waterfall happens. Agility is when we respect the group's decision and not override it too easily with political power. Data should win over political power. People will not have the ownership with the product and with the processes when their collective intelligence is overridden too easily with political power. I have seen companies who said that they're agile, but at the same time keep on overriding the product owner's decision with political power. The product owners are actually not the owner of the product. They're actually just the proxies. The product owner is just a label. Now, rather than punishing or blaming or even bullying people who are courageous to be honest and transparent, we should instead respect their courage. Agility happens when we respect failures and promote the culture of celebrating failures. No two people in the company are the same. Therefore, we should respect diversity. We should respect different opinions. We should respect people's backgrounds and experience and how they acquire those experiences. We should also respect the challenges that people are currently facing. Everyone has their own life struggle. There are many companies who claim that they're agile but still view and treat people as resources. People are not resources. People are human. And we should respect people's needs to be human at work. I have seen in some cultures how people become someone else and put a mask on whenever they enter the workplace because other people in those companies expect them to be someone else they're not. People should be their whole self when they enter the workplace. We should also respect each other's learning style and learning speed as each person learns and acquires skills and knowledge differently. Some people are text learners, some people like me are visual learners, some people are kinetic learners, some people are auditory learners and prefer to learn by listening to podcasts or audiobooks. Working in a tight collaboration that is promoted in the Agile Manifesto is a good thing. But sometimes, when there isn't balance, that tight collaboration can be counterproductive. And because of this reason, we should respect individuals who may want to be at their own space for thinking at certain times. So folks, this is how I explain to people about the value in Scrum values. I also need to tell you that there is a caveat when running the session to explain the Scrum values in some companies. Some people in these companies may think that these Scrum values are too fuzzy and too abstract. As a Scrum Master, you should also live the Scrum values and be open to be criticized. You should also demonstrate the value respect by respecting their critiques. Each individual in the company learns differently. Some people may prefer to learn by actually doing, or sometimes learning by copying practical examples rather than self-discovering their own agile practices. When you are getting these kinds of feedback, this is a good opportunity for you as a Scrum Master to switch to different hat, like the teacher hat or the mentor hat. Now that is all from me today, folks. Thank you for watching this video until the end, and if you found value in this video, don't forget to smash that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're a Scrum Master who aspires to be a true leader who serves. See you until my next video, folks. Have a great day.